only a matter of time before we see AJ again in these weeks of absence to challenge at Page 4 of the Divas Championship, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if AJ goes on to become a 2-time or a 3-time Divas Champion. But one thing you have to take into consideration, just as CM Punk has gone now from the WWE, obviously AJ has got to be feeling really conflicted. AJ definitely loves CM Punk, definitely supports CM Punk, and now with CM Punk gone from WWE, she's kind of putting her life into perspective, saying, does she really want to be on the road, obviously, 360 days of a 365-day-year calendar? Obviously, she's going to want to take some time off and go home with CM Punk if she doesn't immediately leave the WWE and walk out on her contract to leave the WWE like CM Punk. I mean, Jerry Lawler and Stacey Carter did it a number of years ago when the Cat and Jerry Lawler were two very popular WWE superstars and divas. They walked out together. When the Cat was fired by WWE, Jerry Lawler walked out in support of her because he didn't agree how WWE had treated her so unprofessionally. And this, to me, could fall into that same category because we haven't seen CM Punk in seemingly forever. And even though she's only been gone a couple of weeks, it seems as if we haven't seen AJ in forever with how successful of a Divas Champion she was. She was just as successful of a Divas Champion as what CM Punk was as a WWE Champion. Now, I know that we never will see Trish Stratus versus AJ, even though she often compares herself to Trish Stratus, and I know that we'll never see AJ face The Rock or The Undertaker, but I think that she can be classified in the same category that CM Punk is classified as WWE Champion, and I wish more fans were giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's certainly one of the most popular divas in the division that we have seen in years. I just wish that more wrestling fans were giving her the benefit of the doubt, and I still hold the belief that one day we will see both CM Punk and AJ in a WWE ring again, just as I hold the belief that one day we'll see Sting in a ring facing The Undertaker at a WrestleMania. That's a big rumor for WrestleMania 31. But as I said, we have a better chance of seeing Hogan and Austin at WrestleMania 31 than we do CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin in a one-on-one match that wouldn't even be for the championship. That's what my prediction is for that. It wouldn't even be a championship match. We will see that match at WrestleMania 31 before we ever see Punk versus Austin, even though it's been teased so many times. And I think it would be great if CM Punk returned and they wrote something in the way of a storyline based on this engagement, and he returned because of something that happens to AJ in a storyline, either with a superstar or a diva, with how much this is being talked about right now. I mean, AJ and CM Punk are two of the most talked about WWE superstars in the way of former WWE superstars right now, and that says a lot for WWE. And isn't it funny how you're not talked about as much when you're in the WWE, but when you leave the WWE, you're talked about more than you were talked about when you were a part of the WWE. And I think that CM Punk and AJ are going to get even more fame outside of the WWE, and then the WWE try to desperately drag you back to their company because they realize that you're a more popular superstar than they thought that you were. One thing about CM Punk is CM Punk's been talked about a lot recently on our website's RSS news feed. Every second or third post, especially on Facebook, on our Facebook page, is talking about CM Punk, how he recently trained with Bushwhacker Luke, an individual who I met about 3 months ago for the first time, had a chance to be featured in an article for a magazine here in Newfoundland with Bushwhacker Luke. Very friendly individual, very down to earth, and CM Punk is apparently training with Bushwhacker Luke. That's an article that I read from our website a couple of days ago. Very impressed by that, by the way, and I've been very impressed with how CM Punk has been very vocal about his release. And I mean, he's been released now for a couple of months, and he's still being very vocal and still being very talked about. And I think CM Punk loves to hear people talking about him and how controversial he can be. I don't think anybody knows what CM Punk is going to say from night to night to night, from promo to promo to promo. Nobody knows. Everybody just continuously supports CM Punk because he tells it like it is. And I think that CM Punk enjoys the attention. I think he enjoys being very vocal, and you can look at it in a number of ways. One way that a wrestling fan can choose to look at it from that perspective is that CM Punk is just looking for attention. And another way that you can look at it is because of how controversial his rant was in 2011, a rant that I put over as the most controversial conclusion to a Raw since the Attitude Era, and then people said that CM Punk would have never survived in the Attitude Era. I think that's certainly arguable, especially if you go back and listen to that entire promo, how he shot on John Laurinaitis, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, how they ran the WWE and how WWE were treated like circus animals. I mean, he could have survived in the Attitude Era just as John Cena could have survived in the Attitude Era. He definitely could have with how vocal he was, and I think that if he would have been a part of the Attitude Era, he would have been one of the best on the microphone. He would have been just as good as The Rock. The exchange of promos between CM Punk and The Rock in 2013 when The Rock was coming to beat CM Punk for the championship was absolutely phenomenal, and it was one of the best storylines that we saw throughout the entire year. And I think that CM Punk definitely would have lasted. I mean, look at how opinionated he is on professional wrestling news websites and on our website's RSS newsfeed, which updates every half an hour on Facebook or Twitter. And we're going to be hearing about that until CM Punk comes back. And with how controversial CM Punk has been over the past number of months, I hold the belief that one day we're going to see CM Punk again. Now, the engagement of CM Punk and AJ may be the biggest thing that CM Punk has going on right now, and you may be saying as a wrestling fan, oh, well, he's just getting engaged. It's not really as big of a story as what Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella was, or anything else that's going on in professional wrestling. I do agree with you to the extent of how it's irrelevant compared to a match that may be happening in 3 or 4 weeks' time on pay-per-view. I do agree with you how it's irrelevant. But just pay attention to how much attention and publicity CM Punk and AJ are getting from this now, and when it happens, when their marriage happens, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they returned a couple of weeks after on WWE television, because it's only a matter of time before WWE officials realize just how beneficial it'll be to have both CM Punk and AJ back on WWE television, even if they brought them in as two heel characters. I mean, AJ and CM Punk are two very effective heels in the WWE. They were, I should say, and they would even be more effective if they came back now with how controversial they're being talked about, how controversial AJ losing the Divas Championship was, how controversial CM Punk's departure from the WWE was shortly after the Royal Rumble early on here in 2014. And I think where CM Punk's frustration lied was that he wasn't in the main event and he couldn't be champion all the time. I mean, he was going to beat Bruno Sammartino's record of being the longest reigning WWF champion in history, and he would have had to hold that till at least 2018 before he even came close to surpassing it. So he had a long way to go, and he allowed that he was going to do it. But what really frustrated him even more was that he was going to be the longest reigning champion. WWE wanted no part of it. What frustrated him even more is that the same 3 or 4 wrestlers all the time were in the main events. It was always about the Randy Ortons, the John Cenas, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Rocks, who hadn't been there for years. It was never about a Chris Masters, who he shot on a number of times following his second firing from WWE. Another individual who I've spoken to a lot of times here on the radio. I interviewed Chris Masters up to 6 times, and he was very opinionated on a lot of stuff in the way of politics for WWE and just how WWE treated him. I mean, he shot it on the lower bar of WWE superstars, and that's one thing that you had to have a lot of respect for CM Punk for doing, because a lot of people would never give superstars on the lower bar of roster in WWE the benefit of the doubt, and CM Punk definitely did that. And then you sit back and you wonder why CM Punk had the reputation that he had. He had the reputation that he had was because he wasn't afraid to say what he was on his mind. And one thing about CM Punk that I have an endless amount of respect for is that he was the best in the ring, and not only the best in the ring, I truly believe, but he was one of the best psychologically, and he was one of the best at commentary. He was one of the best on the microphone when it came to cutting a promo, and the finger was really on the censor button when it came to CM Punk cutting a promo, because nobody knew what he was going to say, especially following that first unforgettable rant in 2011. I even remember the venue. It was during Raw Roulette in Vegas a number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, that dropped, and I remember writing a column about it just days after and speaking to the Ring of Honor owner, Gabe Sapowski, on that. Gabe Sapowski and Kerry Silken. I remember speaking to both of them, the booker for Ring of Honor and the owner of Ring of Honor, Kerry Silken, a couple of days after it happened. And one thing that he said to me was that was the real CM Punk. There was no gimmick in the way of that promo. It was the real CM Punk telling you how he feels. And that's something that you have to have a lot of respect for, is how a wrestler will tell you how they feel. And CM Punk certainly has not strayed away or never been afraid of telling us how he really feels. And that's one thing that I got from speaking to both Kerry Silken and Gabe Sapowski, the bookers for Ring of Honor and the promoter, was the fact that was the real CM Punk, and that night nobody knew what CM Punk was going to say, and that's what it all goes back to. And there are wrestling fans out there who think we will never see CM Punk again, but there were people who thought we'd never see Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff, or Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman working together. And I mean, that proved out to be an assumption that was completely inaccurate, because they worked together for years and years and years, even off of television. Vince McMahon, I would vouch to say, is still working with Eric Bischoff, and we haven't seen the last of Eric Bischoff on WWE television. Nobody ever thought that would come into fruition. Nobody ever thought we would see Paul Heyman and The Undertaker work together, and Paul Heyman and The Undertaker have been working together for years. Paul Heyman was the reason why the streak came to an end at WrestleMania 30, because he pushed for Brock Lesnar to become the man, and Brock Lesnar was the one who went 21-1 against The Undertaker. There are a lot of things that we have said that would never happen in professional wrestling that have eventually happened. It may have taken them years to put off matches like The Rock versus Goldberg and The Rock versus John Cena, and it may take them a few more years before we see Sting versus The Undertaker, but believe me when I tell you, this will happen, and I'm going to go on record for saying that we haven't seen the last of either CM Punk or AJ, as we offer our congratulations on the behalf of this radio show to both CM Punk and AJ, the longest reigning champions in their respective divisions in the last 25 years. For CM Punk, 434 days, and for AJ, I think it was something like 295 days, just a little under 300 days, making her the longest reigning Divas champion in history. If you want to offer your congratulations on their engagement, you can. At the bottom of this YouTube video at Jonathan Clarke 22, you can tweet us your congratulations on Twitter, hashtag CM Punk and AJ engagement or something along those lines at Jonathan Clarke 1, and you can also leave us your comments on our Facebook page or in our forum at EGW Entertainment and on our official website, where we have over 1,000 fans listening to our show. And if you haven't downloaded our mobile app, go to the App Store or Google Play or the official website for the app, which you can access from our actual website itself to get more information before you download the app, to download your copy of our new updated app, to get news items, track our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and to call us and send us an email. You can go to the App Store or Google Play and the official website of HGW Entertainment. And I want to know what your opinion is on the announcement of the engagement of CM Punk and AJ, the first announcement of an engagement since the announcement of Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella a number of months ago, and I remember how much publicity they got, and I think this is going to be triple the amount of publicity for both CM Punk and AJ because of the popularity of both of these two former WWE superstars. And the question that is asked to me all the time is, whatever happened to AJ? She must have been released from the WWE. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with our Facebook's RSS newsfeed, that explains where AJ has been. She's taking some time off, and that's usually what they do, depending on how long a reign of a champion has in professional wrestling. I mean, they did it with Bret Hart. They've done it with Shawn Michaels an endless amount of times. They've done it with The Undertaker, and now they're doing it for the Divas, and you have to have a lot of respect for that, to know that the Divas fall under the same criteria in contractual obligations as some of the top champions like Rock and Austin. You really got to have a lot of appreciation for that, because that's getting the Divas division to a level that they should have been on a number of years ago. And you can get in on the conversation and let us know what you think of it as we offer